Number 6, learn to think. As my dad used to say, son, use your head for something besides a hat rack. Well, I'm getting older. The side of that truck fender there is about 4.5 feet tall and kind of hard to lean over that thing. You stand on a stool, it slides out under your feet. So what I did, I broke down. I thought, man, that's a good idea. And I got from Summit Racing one of these called underhood truck creepers. And I'll tell you one thing, even what little I've tried it, that thing is the cat's meow. But as happens often when you get something new, you see some areas that you could improve, modify a little bit to improve on it, and that's what I'm doing. So let me get back here and show you something, what I'm doing. Okay, the part that I'm modifying is this little black metal bracket that adjusts the tilt on my underhood creeper. Well, the problem is it's welded together on this end, so normally to drill another hole, and all I have to do to modify it is drill another 1/4 inch hole, and then I'll open it up to a 5/16. I want to move this hole down this way about 1.5 inches. But the problem is you can't put this in a milling machine, and I want it fairly straight and accurate lining up with the other because this will hinge. Well, how are we going to do that? Earlier I mentioned this video is about using your head. Learn to think. I've never done something exactly like this, but certainly I've done things in the past that you call on that knowledge. So what did I do? I strapped this down on the table. I got me a large square here. I drew 3 lines on there. One at the original point where the new hole will go, stepped over a 1/4 this way, stepped over a 1/4 that way. And the reason being is this aircraft drill that I'll be using is a 1/4 inch. That way I can look down over the top of it and easily tell whether I need to go to the right or the left. And because of the length of it, back here, holding that quite accurately over that, I'm going to be able to drill a very straight hole. Well, you say, how am I going to govern it up and down? This being a 1/4 inch hole that I'll finish up with here, and I'm using a 1/4 inch bit. I went over to the steel rack, picked me up a piece of scrap that is 1/8 of an inch lower than the new hole point location. I'll slide that back here. That'll hold me up and down. I'll be able to accurately drill it. Let's do it. Okay. Now we'll be able to take our 5/16 drill and we can just freehand that, go from this side, go from that side, move over to the other side, and we're done. And we're all lined up. And like I say, many things you'll do, you may do them in a long time, but it'll come back to you when you think it over. Spend a little time to think, and when you do, it pays off big time. Tip number 7. Now, I'm well aware a good machinist can build about anything that he wants, and many of those old scooters still do. I'm reminded there's a lady, I'm pretty sure her name was Cherry Hill from England, made steam engines, and wow, what a craftsman. I think she even made those little screws that went in that thing. I look at some of that workmanship, I think, I don't know a thing, but que sera. What this is here, this is a oil drain I've made out of a couple of propane tanks. Now you want to make sure you purge that thing real good, or you may have some fireworks. But anyway, great. I mean, I've been real pleased with this. Had some exhaust pipe there that I used for the stem. An easy project. Oh my goodness, that's been a good one. But that's not what we want to talk about. What we want to talk about, our tip, often I've found it's better, it's quicker, less expensive. It's a good alternative. Buy something that's been imported, like Harbor Freight. I think that's where this came from. A lot cheaper and easier to buy something like this and then improve upon it. What we have here is an engine stand. I think I gave about, say, $70. It might have been $49. But naturally, it comes in a box. It's bolted together, and it can be kind of flimsy. But all you have to do is when you get it, instead of bolting it, weld it. Right here, I've added some braces on the front and the side. Up here at the top, I welded a couple of braces on the side. And you're taking a product that there's no way you could make that thing for that price to start with and just by simply working on it a little bit, you can vastly improve and make something good. Okay, let's look right over here. I mentioned earlier this underhood creeper that I just got from Summit Racing. I think it was around $250. Well, there again, there's no way I could make something like this. I couldn't buy the materials probably and make that for that kind of price, but I did make some improvements, things that I like to make it a lot easier. Notice there I've got some foam that I used wire ties to put on here. A few other little improvements, but wow, is that ever nice? Is that ever nice? Let me show you over here what else we got. We got a engine crane. Now these, used to find them, they used to be made down there in South Carolina. I don't know where this one came from, but anyway, very, very handy working on lawnmowers, pulling engines. But here's something I did to this one. You leave these things, you leave an engine hanging on there overnight, the hydraulic cylinder can go down. Well, I've welded on these little 1/2-inch blocks here and then made this so that it can rest on this when you're not using it. And that way you come back the next morning, it's not there on the floor, right where you left it. Another thing that I did, I turned around my end piece out here, and on the back side, I welded an extension. One time we was putting a wing on an airplane. I think it was a Cessna 150. And you can see there, I've got about an 8-foot reach now. And of course, I've had to put some counterweight down here at the bottom when I do that, because if you didn't, you're going to turn the thing over. You got to use your head a little bit, but oh my, just a few simple modifications to some of these imported products, and you can have a really good product and save a lot of money. Tip number 8. I'm sure we've all heard it, but the old saying, a place for every tool and every tool in its place. Well, I can personally verify the fact that the time it took me to organize this, put the screws in the wall, hang them up there, well worth it. The time I've saved looking for tools, I can just look right up there and immediately tell if something is missing. Well worth the time to be a little bit better organized in your shop. Tip number 9. Often in your shop, you'll be making parts that because of their application, it simply is not practical to paint that part. However, you don't want that part to rust, so what are you going to do? What can you do to make that something that'll preserve it, but yet not rust? Well, you go to Walmart, back in the sporting goods section, and you get you a bottle of Super Blue. That's what you use to most often blue gun barrels with, but it costs about $12. Get your gloves on, get your safety glasses on, get you a small rag, and let me do it. All right, I'm going to use this old bottle. I didn't want to open my new one, so hopefully it will still work, but let's just see here. I love doing this. Okay, you can see that there. Look at the difference. I believe you can see that. All right, so what we'll do, just use an applicator for there. Wow, that bottle is getting low. And you put that on. Just sponge it on. Now that certainly the longer you do that, the deeper your blue will be. And to prepare that, of course, there's different methods, sanding, but you can't hardly beat sand blasting if you really want a good job. And as I say, you soak that part real good. Let it set for some time. Then you'll go wash that with cold water. Rinse it first with cold water and then wash it off with some soap. And then put something like WD-40 on that part to give you kind of a preservative on top of that. And you'll have a good, durable finish for a lot of applications. Actually, you can see the difference there. Wow, what a difference. Let me quickly add something to that last tip. Often a part that's to be finished by grinding or hard turning, you leave it oversized. Then you're going to heat treat it, you're going to blue it, then come back on your lathe, mill, cylindrical grinder, do your final operations. But when you do, wow, what a good looking part. Tip number 10. Question, why do I have so many cans? Well, I've got quite a few machines, and another reason is, when I get something that works, I'll ride that horse to death. Now, most machinists do a lot of things other than try machining. Often do a lot of plumbing. When you get through with that can of PVC glue, don't throw it away. Take that can, you can take the label off if you want to, but take that top off, take that applicator out of there. Don't try to drill it, but just knock you a hole through the top there. Open that up to about 5/8, a little bit bigger than that. Get you an acid brush, that's called an acid brush, and put you about a 1/2 inch of oil in the bottom. Now there's a couple of reasons. Put a 1/2 inch in there. Number one, when you reach down in there, you're using this drilling hole, touching on your lathe, drilling on the mill machine. When you reach that down, you got a 1/2 inch oil, that's what you're going to get on the tip, just about what you need. Secondly, the way this is made, you drop that can, sometimes you see I spilled a little bit, you may drop that off in the floor and hardly spill a drop. But I'll tell you, I've used that over and over and over. I try to keep one on about all my major machines, or at least keep them close. That's one of the best tips. In our series on machining, often I speak of time because time is valuable. I've said it before. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. Just think, some night the stars will gleam upon a cold gray stone, and trace a name with silver beam, and lo, 'twill be your own. That night is speeding on to greet your destiny and mine. Your life is but just a little beat within the heart of time. A little gain, a little pain, a laugh, lest you should moan. A little blame, a little fame, a star, a gleam, a stone. Robert Service that wrote that poem, I'm sure he's a wise man, traveled extensively, lived a very full life. In his 84 years, he saw a lot, but he also saw it all comes down to this. Selah, you think about that.